Dr. Magnus sends orders to contact Optimus Prime on Moonbase 1.
All right. Cover your receptors, Perceptor.
Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another Ginger Toy Mentor video. Today we're going to be looking at the Legacy Blaster, which is a pretty cool one. He is of course an Autobot, and he has the really nice like tape deck thing where his frickin' front pops open and you can put tapes in him. Does he come with a tape? I hope he does. It'd be pretty cool if he comes with a tape. Let's get him opened up and let's see what's inside, shall we? So he's got the same 3 little pieces of tape holding him closed like all the Legacies. I do think it's a little odd that the Legacies are open like this. Like, it's a little weird. And this box is a little messed up, as you can see. I actually got him specifically from my brother to open. He's like, you're gonna open him anyway. It's not like you need a perfect box. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Although I might try and tape that before it rips completely, because it's kind of hanging in there on one side, and on the other side it's like it's gone. So like all the Legacies, they seem to just be like on this, you know, piece of cardboard, and obviously we've got our transformation thing. I don't think I'm gonna need the transformation thing for him. Blaster's always been particularly easy to transform, especially since you know exactly what he's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and cut the ties that bind him, and we'll get an idea of what we can do with this guy. This one around his chest is a little bit of a pain in the butt. A little hard to actually get a blade on. I don't like it because I don't want to accidentally cut him. I'm actually going to do this one from the back. Yeah. And he should be free now. Free! Freedom! Oh no, he's got 2 more holding down his hands. Okay. There we go. Now he's free. And his weapon and the cassette are both held in with a piece of plastic string, whatever you want to call it. And the aftermath of all these little plastic ropes. I'd like to imagine that somewhere somebody sells replacement plastic ropes so that you can just like open these guys up and then put them back. And nobody would ever know. Nobody would ever know. So we do have a cassette here. Let's do him first. He's probably a pretty simple transformation. It looks like he's got 2 arms. Yeah, that's arms. And then he's got 2 legs, which looks like they bend downward. Yeah, pretty simple transformation. Our little guy here for the cassette. His head obviously seems to pop out and spin around, and then he has some, he has kind of like a little form. It's not like the coolest little transformer in the world, but it's a transformer nonetheless. As you can see, I'll probably do a fashion photo shoot of him as well, just for giggles. And he of course transforms into a cassette and goes into the cassette mode. I will put him inside for the stereo configuration. Now let's, we also have his weapon, which is the pretty standard blaster weapon. Looks very, very similar, pretty much the same as the original blaster weapon for Blaster. Obviously his chest opens up here. It looks like you press this little button right here. A little bit less advanced than the original Blaster. If I remember correctly, the original Blaster had a, what was it called? Just one button that you used to open them up, as opposed to the entire row of buttons. And some of the other buttons could also be pressed as well. There's also an odd thing going on here. He doesn't have articulated fingers, but he does for some reason have his finger pointing outward, as you can see, on one hand. Not on the other, but just on this one hand. This one finger is just pointing out. Here, let me put my hand behind it so you can see as a background. It's definitely kind of like almost like a trigger finger or something. It doesn't move or anything, but it's it's there. So let's get a fashion photo shoot of him and his robot, and then we'll go to transforming him into his alternate mode. I wonder if I could just like put his robot on top of him like this for the fashion shot, just like yeah, boy. He might not work, but we'll go to it anyway.
Optimus Prime, do you read me? The Decepticons are blitzing Autobot City. We're really taking a pounding. Don't know how much longer we can hold out. Soundwave, jam that transmission. Rumble frenzy, ravage, rapid, eject, operation.
All right, so we got our fashion shot of Mr. Blaster, and now we're going to try and transform him. So let's take his gun out of his hand. And Blaster has some pretty simple things. If I remember correctly, you fold both of his hands in. That's one of the first things that you do with Blaster is fold his hands inward. And it doesn't look like I fold them inward, and they don't fold inward, they fold outward. That's rather interesting. I wonder what that's about. They instead they fold outward. It seems a little painful. We also have obviously the handlebar there for the radio. It comes out of his feet, which is very similar to before. His 2 foot pads go up into his legs, which is also very similar to before. It looks like we've got some sort of mechanism on the bottom of his foot, which is definitely was not there before. I'm not really sure what to make of the. Maybe that's just part of his feet and how his feet work. We definitely got 2 like radio control knobs, and then this part folds up here. Interesting. Then we got another piece that folds up there. And if it's true to form with how the original Blaster worked, I would imagine that the head folds down. So we probably have a secret compartment here for the head. Yep, secret compartment for the head. And then his legs are most likely going to fold upward to form the radio, which I'm not really sure what's going on there. Okay, that was a little odd. I didn't quite go in the way I had expected. A little bit of a rough transition there. I'm not sure if there's something that I'm doing wrong here. So this red piece right here that folds out, like if you try and push this down with the red piece out, it looks like it's going to break this red piece off. In fact, there's a little tiny bit of a stress line. I'm not sure if you can see it right there. And I barely even tried to push it down, but it was like, it was so obviously not meant to fold that particular way. It seems like you have to like put it like this on its side, and then as you fold it down, you kind of fold it outward. Let me take a quick look at the manual to make sure that is the correct way, because that seems pretty jankety. Okay, so it says to fold them out, and then it says to fold these upward. Okay. So they're not to be folded in. That's where I went wrong. So they're not to be folded inward. I see. So the goal of this is to spin his whole body around. Which it makes sense now. Just a brief look at the manual, and it all makes perfect sense. And then you want to push his arms. Let's see here. Actually, I'm not really sure where his arms go. Like that, perhaps? And then what happens here is this whole piece folds upward like this. Yeah, that seems about right, except I'm pretty sure the arms don't go up like this. I'm pretty sure that you don't transfer Blaster to his mode with his arms up. So there's got to be a downward configuration that makes sense. This really makes a whole lot of sense with his arms. See, I went into this bold and brazen like I was going to be able to transform him easily. Made 2 mistakes already, which, you know, it's sometimes these transformers are not easy to transform. So let me see what the hell they're doing with his arms. So according to this, they take his arms and fold them onto themselves. Okay, well, how the hell are they doing that though? Looks like there's a joint right here, and this whole part of the arm folds upward. There we go, like that. Aha! If I paid attention to the joints, I probably would have got it, but I wasn't paying attention to the fact that there was a joint right there. It's kind of an odd place to have a joint. And it looks like you just kind of leave it like that. And then after you get it like that, you then bring up the other portion. Make sure I got it correct. It does look like everything is correct, but it's not quite fitting. Let me double check the way that whether they changed something about the hands. Okay, so according to this, there's a little, like, kind of a notch right here. Not sure if you guys can see it, but there's a notch right here that's supposed to go up into the leg. Alright, so that's happening correctly, and then this part goes down. It seems like something is wrong here, because it's not quite... Oh, there we go. Kind of just like clicked into place, like the whole thing just kind of just snapped in. Oh, okay. So there are these little notches right here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's literally right there. And there's another notch on the inside of this, which clicks into place on the blaster and kind of holds it in tension, which isn't really quite what I had expected. Especially considering it kind of feels like the whole thing isn't quite transformed properly. Like, I'm not really quite sure how to explain it, but it just kind of feels like it's not clicking in as well. Not really sure what these are. You can, like, control the... Yeah, not really sure about that. I'll just make sure I've done all the things correctly. So on the side here, there are these little kind of like subwoofers. So in the robot mode, apparently they're supposed to be these. But when you transform him into the radio mode, or the stereo mode, they're supposed to change. So that means I'm going to have to take him apart again. And it looks like you just flip them around like almost like a coin. See? Not really too much to it. Just push. You just push on it and it just flips. And that gives you the mode for the radio. It's kind of an interesting design there for the grill plates. I guess it's supposed to be to make the grill plates make sense when he transforms. Okay, and then click this into place, and voila. He definitely looks pretty cool in his transformed mode. I don't really like that back right there. I feel like the original one had a much prettier looking back than this blaster. This blaster doesn't look like a radio on the back, whereas the old one did. And I'll be doing a video on the old one as well, and obviously you can press this button and the tape opens up. And of course we also have the robot, which should be pretty easy to transform back into a cassette. For the most part, he didn't really have a lot of like super complicated mechanisms. It was pretty much just move his feet in, twist his head around, pull his head down, and then voila, we've got ourselves a cassette. And he of course fits inside of Blaster, and I would hope he fits inside of Blaster. He fits inside of Blaster. Why is he not fitting inside of Blaster? It's like just barely. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we've got our cassette in there, and of course Blaster would go, "Come forth," you know, whatever his name is. What's his name on the sheet? Eject. His name is Eject. Interesting. All right, so let's go to a fashion shot of Blaster in his transformed mode, and we'll also put the cassette, you know, just kind of like at his feet, so that we can have, or maybe we'll put it on top of him like this or something, just for walls. He's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little bit sketchy there on part of his transformation. I'm not really sure about that one part of his transformation. A little odd. It's interesting. He kind of has like, his two things can like fold downward. I don't really like how crappily his thing connects together. Is there a like something that's supposed to hold them together? According to the booklet, there is nothing. But it does look like, to me, his weapon is supposed to go on the back of him somehow. Apparently there's like a little notch on his weapon, and you can put his weapon on the back of him. That's pretty cool. Nice little place for the weapon to sit. That's pretty neat. Always like it when there's somewhere for his accessories to go. You know, like when you have like 18,000 accessories for a Transformer, and it's like, where am I going to put these? Does he have like a secret compartment I can jam them all into? So it's pretty cool when they add a place for the weapon to sit. That way, when he's in his alternate mode, he actually has a, you know, a storage place. The dials don't move. The speakers don't move. I mean, nothing really moves here except for these two top speakers. As you can see, they kind of like move up and down, which is kind of where these are the tweeters or whatever. And then, of course, these grills on the side, they actually flip in and out. I don't know, he's pretty cool. He does have some numbers on the back here written on the plastic. It's a little bit of an oddity, like it's not a date or a or something, and it doesn't look like a mold mark. Like it almost looks like it's carved. No, because when I rub my finger over it, it is raised. So this must be a mold mark. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting Transformer. I'm not sure that I like him more than the original Blaster. He does look a little cooler, but his transformation is a little bit more difficult. I was able to figure out most of it. The hands were a little bit of an oddity, and I was kind of confused on these little bits right here. As you can see, there's a little bit of a stress mark on the piece of plastic, because literally when I tried to fold it, it was kind of getting caught on another piece. So don't make that mistake like I did. That's the reason why these videos exist. So let's go to the fashion shot of Blaster and Eject, and we'll go from there.
Interference.